Welcome back to the Sunday Talk Show, This Day Live. I'm Rueben Abati. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has been marred by scandal after scandal. The latest episode involves a memo alleging that $25 billion in oil contracts may be in jeopardy. The memo specifically accused the group managing director, Dr. Maikanti Baru, of corruption and insubordination. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ebe Kachiku, sent a letter to President Buhari on August 30. When it was leaked to the press shortly after, it created a firestorm of controversy, with political commentators demanding the president should take action. However, the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, claims there is a conflict of interest, that the contract in question was meant to fund Buhari's bid for a second term in 2019. The president has had a meeting with Dr. Kachiku and other top officials, also met either Kachiku or Baru on Friday. But so far, the details of that meeting have not yet been revealed. Meanwhile, oil is the lifeblood of Nigeria. Here are some numbers to consider, for example. Between 1961 and 2014, almost 33 billion barrels of crude oil were produced and refined, bringing in 118 trillion naira. In 2005, the highest level of production was 918 million barrels, valued at more than 6 billion naira. Now, what exactly is going on? It's been the main issue of the week, and Nigerians are really concerned that, are we truly dealing with just insubordination or corruption on a massive scale in the oil and gas sector? Ijeoma, you are...
Well, all this boils down to governance issues, which unfortunately, despite all the mantra and the promises of change, this administration has obviously shown that it's going to be business as usual, because NNPC remains one of the most opaque institutions, non-transparent institutions in this country. I know to some extent when Kachiku was there, he tried by releasing their management accounts. But even then, I challenged him at some point. I said, look, your management accounts are not enough. They are being put together by your own people. It's high time you bring in auditors. Your Establishment Act makes it very clear that you are supposed to be audited like any other company. Your audited accounts are supposed to be published. It is only when we get this, then we would know for a fact if NNPC is operating efficiently or not, whether its resources are properly deployed or not, whether its contracts are duly awarded or not. Do you understand? It all comes down, and then there's also the aspect of the PIB, or whatever the Senate today, yes. The Senate today calls it the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. This legislation has been in the National Assembly for 10 good years. Yet, we've not seen it come to light. Do you know the primary reason it's not come to light? Because of the operators in the industry, starting from NNPC to the multinationals. They collude with the National Assembly to make sure this is built. And then they go every National Assembly from the 5th Assembly to the 6th Assembly to the 7th. They give us the impression, go through the motions. They are working on it. Sometimes, even in the last assembly, I think the House actually passed one aspect of the bill. Do you understand? They go through the motions and nothing comes to light. Because if you really want to end the rot in NNPC, and I do believe that the PDP's allegation was
yeah, but this lack of transparency, yes. We've been having it from government to government, from one administration to the other. Any end in sight? Do you think NNPC will ever become transparent?
The point made by Ijeoma is fantastic. It reflects the situational reality. But let me give an additional footnote to it, why the problem will always be there. There is conflict between being a minister of and being a minister for. The minister of is generally referred to as honorable minister. An honorable minister is the substantive, minister. But when you are minister for, the name is Minister of State for with specific area of responsibility. But in order to reconcile the tension between Minister of and Minister for in Nigeria, what they have done is to say, all right, the two of you can attend cabinet meeting. They are there. The implication to what we are, for what we are discussing is simply that Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, is actually the substantive minister. He is Minister of, petroleum, etc. While Kashiku is Minister of State for a delegated, responsibility.
Now, every function in government
yes,
is delegated from the chief executive down.
But the issue is that now Kashiku has been marginalized, and reports are made directly to the substantive minister. This is where the first problem is located. The issue is that Kashiku is saying, look, he is not aware of what is going on, what has transpired.
And that he has even not been able to access his own president.
Precisely.
The substantive minister, as it were. I mean, that is partly a problem. Secondly, you have the chief of staff, who's also a board member of NNPC, who, even if you look at what the Minister of State is flagging, hadn't flagged anything as an issue. You have a letter that was released that has no stamp of the fact that it was received by any office, so there's still that speculation that it was ever even sent. But I think more fundamentally, it speaks to, I mean, the Buhari administration came in with this anti-corruption, and people were expecting really hard decisions. And I think over the course of the 2 years, we've seen that they haven't taken those hard decisions. And even recently, you have both the secretary to the federation, to the government, the report, government of the federation. Thank you, that's what I was looking for. The report on him, the report on Mr. Oki of NIA. Nothing has happened. There was a panel set up. The report was presented on his arrival in August. Until now, nothing has happened. So when you expect decisive actions on people who have clear allegations, and a report has been, even Kachuku, there's an EFCC report dating back to a year ago about him. So you have all of that, but yet no clear decision has been taken.
But why do you have these conflicts of personalities in the administration?
What do you mean conflicts?
Well, you have had before now one department of government attacking another department of government. This is not the first time you will find key persons in the administration taking their battles to the public. Is it not a bit distracting? Is it not something that Nigerians really should be concerned about?
Especially when you have a president that's not taking decisive action that people expect him to take.
It's a leadership problem. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, we have I would not hesitate to say it, we have a very indecisive president. He's not on top of the issues. He allows the things he allows.
Some people have put it.
No, he allows
some people
matters.
say the president has been away most of the time.
No, whether he's away or not, he allows matters to fester.
Exactly.
He's indecisive.
Okay, the ones that he hasn't been.
He allows matters to fester.
He got a report in August. We're now in October. So he's been, okay, fine, he was away. But he's gotten back, he's gotten a report that was presented to him by his vice president. He's had a month to read it, really.
Prof.
You see, I've never held the opinion that President Buhari is serious about his struggle or war against corruption. I've never held that belief. So,
they've recovered money, though.
No, what is recovering money? You see, based on my own personal experience, what I have seen, Buhari is dealing with corruption at the highest level. He ignores corruption at the lowest level, forgetting that the corruption at the lowest level is growing up. So when you cut off the topmost part...
Which one has he cut off?
No, Chibi is already... he claims that he's arresting some people and that they have been refunding. But we don't know the money refunded precisely.
So what has he done exactly?
But hypothetically, when somebody says he's doing something, you don't say he's wrong.
Okay.
It still remains at the level of hypothesis.
But on this particular issue, at the NNPC,
yes.
There's a report that says the president has called for a ceasefire. I don't know what that means in real terms, because the two key persons involved may not be saying much, but they have agents. You can see there are persons who have taken side. Okay?
The principles
But
of
what do you
ceasefire.
think will happen at the end of this? Will it be swept under the carpet?
I'll put a vote on that, swept under the carpet.
Let me give my, you know, I'm a journalist, first and foremost. So, and I do, from my own investigation, there's been no ceasefire. There's been no ceasefire. From what I understand, there's been no ceasefire. Again, the president is showing his incapacity to take a decision and resolve this issue once and for all. As far as I'm concerned, Dr. Akinterinwa's reference to being a minister and minister for state, all those things are irrelevant. The president, the same president as the Minister of Petroleum Resources, delegated his position as chairman of NNPC to his Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. And the board, he also constituted the board.
And appointed his chief of staff.
Do you understand? I appointed, and even included his chief of staff as the director of NNPC. Do you understand? And even just by, even if you look at, even if we have to adhere to corporate governance tenets, no CEO can take certain decisions without reference to his board, to his or her board. If this CEO, the things that he can act without the approval of the board, then there's a problem.
You see,
Well, there's been a lot of talk about what is in the Procurement Act, what is in the NNPC Act, what the difference is between the Tenders Board and the main board of NNPC. But I guess we should also be worried that government memos, official correspondence, eventually just find their ways into the media. And they say, oh, somebody leaked it. And you don't know who leaked it. Prof, is that standard practice?
there's no practice that is standard.
In Nigeria or globally?
Globally. When we talk about something standard, all right, it is on the basis that some people have come together, some states have come together to say, okay, this will be our standard. All right. The issue is that when you talk about standard practice, whose standard are you talking about? The problem in Nigeria as of today
Well,
is
maybe best practice. Would that be a better phrase?
Yeah.
even when you say best practice, which world? Third world? First world? Everybody is claiming.
Best practice qualified.
Yes, of course. Best practice within which framework? What makes it best? What are the parameters you are considering? Scientific analysis require that in any given stratum of society, all right, you put your criteria there to determine, to assess evaluation. And when you now come to agree with those, then you can all do that. For instance, how do we come about first world, second world, third world? It's politicized.
Economy.
When they say underdeveloped country, it gives the impression that you have a developed country. Which country is not developing?
It depends on where you are on the spectrum.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess there are indicators.
Sorry.
I guess there are indicators.
I'd like to come in here.
Yes,
because
the indicators.
I'd like to come in here because Dr. Abati just made reference to the Procurement Act, whether it supersedes the oversight functions of the board. I keep arguing. I've heard that argument, and my response to it is it's utter balderdash. For the simple reason that I keep asking, let anybody show me any clause or provision in the Procurement Act that excludes any board of any parastatal from its oversight functions. If the Procurement Act states so, they might as well dissolve all boards. Then we don't need boards.
And they're irrelevant, exactly.
But
Then they become irrelevant.
I've also heard that the
nobody-
the GMD of NNPC can make certain approvals within a certain
Of
threshold.
course, there's a threshold.
And that has
Every
been the
CEO,
practice.
yes.
Every CEO
But
has
these
that right.
we're talking of multi-billion-dollar
Dollars.
contracts. And then my response when people keep talking of Procurement Act, I keep saying, I have covered this oil industry from the age of 27, 28. And I'm not aware that any major NNPC contract, since the Procurement Act was enacted into law under Obasanjo, goes through BPP. The BPP does not have the capacity. Do you understand? Is it because we're talking of production sharing contracts? We're talking of the joint venture. Is it a Guinea, the multi-billion-dollar Guinea contract that goes to BP? It's all balderdash. They don't go through them.
Well, you know, we've talked about.
This is an area I
We've
understand.
talked about the board, the Procurement Act, and all of that. Where does NATI come in here, which is the agency that is responsible for checking and monitoring
This
transparency?
is all about transparency.
Yes, transparency.
They don't give no objections to contracts.
I know.
All they do is they
I know,
look
but
at.
is there a role they can play going
come in
forward?
after the fact.
That's all they do. And they issue reports and let us know where things have
And
gone
then
wrong.
NATI,
to
my
prevent
problem with
it.
NATI is that NATI seems to focus, I keep telling them, you keep, there's a, you know, an inordinate focus on just oil and gas. What happens to other minerals?
Minerals.
There is zero information on.
Very true.
Do you understand?
And it's
Forget oil and
the
gas.
E is
It's the extractives industry.
Yeah.
Every second we kept getting, and there are reports, there are also conflicts. Oil and gas, I'm tired.
Well, I mean, I think we'll leave it here. We'll probably come back to it as the story develops within the public space. You are still watching This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise channel with me, Rueben Abati, in Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos. We're heading for a short break now. Do stay with us. We will be back.